The house loomed. It stood as a silent sentinel, a relic of a bygone era, its once grand facade now marred by the passage of time. The mist clung to its weathered walls as if trying to hide the secrets it held within. A spectre against the dying light. The last rays of the sun cast long shadows, making the mansion appear even more foreboding. A flickering light in one of the windows hinted at life, or perhaps something else entirely. Blackwood Manor, a name whispered in fear. The plaque, though tarnished and worn, still bore the weight of its dark history. Tales of ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena had kept the curious at bay for decades. Its windows, like empty eyes, watched the trespassers approach. They seemed to follow every movement, judging, waiting. The feeling of being watched was palpable, sending shivers down the spine of anyone who dared to come close. The iron gates groaned open, a warning. Their rusted bars, twisted and bent, seemed to protest the intrusion. The sound echoed through the stillness, a reminder of the mansion's long abandonment. The rusted hinges sang of neglect and decay. Each creak and groan was a testament to the years of disuse, a symphony of abandonment that played on the nerves of those who dared to enter. The driveway was a path to the unknown, overgrown and neglected. Weeds and wildflowers had taken over, creating a natural barrier that seemed to warn against proceeding further. The path twisted and turned, leading deeper into the shadows. Each step forward felt heavier than the last. The weight of the mansion's history pressed down, making every movement a struggle. The ground beneath seemed to resist, as if trying to hold back those who dared to uncover its secrets. The air grew colder, as if the house itself sucked the warmth from the world. A chilling breeze whispered through the trees, carrying with it the faintest hint of voices from the past. The mansion stood, waiting, its secrets locked away, ready to ensnare the next unwary soul who dared to venture too close.
I was drawn to this eerie place, to its darkness and its hidden secrets.
They were a mismatched group, united by curiosity and a touch of fear. S5, ready to document everything. S4, I hope for a ghost story to tell. S3, I see only cobwebs and crumbling old stone. The front door creaked open, as if inviting them in. The group hesitated for a moment, exchanging nervous glances. The mansion loomed before them, its dark windows like empty eyes watching their every move. The air inside was stagnant, heavy with the weight of forgotten years. It felt as though the very walls were holding their breath, waiting for something or someone to disturb the silence. Dust motes danced in the faint beams of their flashlights. Each step they took stirred up more, creating a ghostly haze that seemed to follow them through the corridors. Each room they explored was a portrait of decay. Peeling wallpaper, broken furniture and shattered glass told stories of a time long past. The mansion was a relic, a forgotten monument to a bygone era, furniture draped in white sheets, like ghosts themselves. A sudden noise, a floorboard creaking above, made them all jump. Their hearts pounded in their chests as they strained to hear any further sounds. Shadows seemed to twist and lengthen. The flickering light from their flashlights played tricks on their eyes, creating monstrous shapes that danced along the walls. Playing tricks on their eyes, whispers followed them, soft, almost imperceptible, like the rustling of leaves on a windless night. They couldn't tell where the whispers were coming from, but they felt surrounded, too faint to make out the words. The whispers seemed to come from the very walls, as if the mansion itself was trying to communicate with them. They leaned in closer, trying to catch a single word, a single phrase. But not the tone. Fear. It was unmistakable. The whispers carried a sense of dread, a warning perhaps, or a plea for help. The group felt a chill run down their spines, the hairs on the back of their necks standing on end. They knew they were not alone in the mansion. Something or someone was watching them, and it was not friendly.
They say a family was murdered here, the Blackwood family. They were brutally killed by their own servants.
Just stories, Em. Don't let them get to you.
But even Mia couldn't deny the feeling that something was watching them.
What happened to the servants?
They disappeared, never to be seen again. Some say their spirits still haunt this place.
They continued their exploration, their footsteps echoing through the desolate halls. The air was thick with dust and the scent of decay, each breath a reminder of the mansion's long abandonment. The group moved cautiously, their flashlights casting eerie shadows on the walls, revealing glimpses of the mansion's former grandeur now lost to time. Each room revealing more of the mansion's past. A child's nursery, once filled with laughter and joy, now stood as a silent testament to forgotten memories. The old toys, covered in a thick layer of dust, seemed to whisper secrets of the past. The rocking horse creaked eerily, as if moved by an unseen hand, and the dilapidated crib stood as a haunting reminder of a life that once was. Toys scattered on the floor, frozen in time, a grand dining room with a table set for a meal that was never eaten. The fine china and silverware, now tarnished and forgotten, hinted at a time of opulence and grandeur. The room, like the rest of the mansion, was a snapshot of a moment long past, preserved in a state of eerie stillness. The table set for a meal never eaten, the air grew colder, the shadows more pronounced. The corridor ahead seemed to stretch into darkness, the temperature dropping with each step they took. The walls, once adorned with portraits and tapestries, now bore the marks of time and neglect. The group could feel the weight of the mansion's history pressing down on them, a palpable sense of dread that grew stronger with every passing moment.
Sighs, Emily, stay close. The fear in his voice was unmistakable, a reflection of the growing unease that gripped them all. He reached out, taking her hand in his, hoping to offer some semblance of comfort in the face of the unknown. This place, it's really starting to get to me too. The walls seemed to close in around them, the oppressive atmosphere weighing heavily on their minds. Every creak and groan of the old mansion sent shivers down their spines, their imaginations running wild with thoughts of what might be lurking in the shadows. I can't shake the feeling that we're being watched, hunted. The sensation was almost tangible, a prickling at the back of their necks that refused to be ignored. They exchanged nervous glances, each one silently acknowledging the unspoken fear that had taken hold of them.
Jake kept a close eye on Emily. He could see the fear in her eyes, mirroring his own. He knew this place was getting to her, the oppressive atmosphere gnawing at her resolve. He tried to stay strong for her sake, but the mansion's sinister presence was hard to ignore. He knew this place was getting to her. The way she clung to his arm, her eyes darting nervously around the room, told him everything he needed to know. But he couldn't deny the feeling himself. The mansion seemed to be alive, its very walls whispering secrets and threats that only they could hear. But he couldn't deny the feeling himself. The sense of dread that had settled over them was almost suffocating, a heavy weight that pressed down on their chests and made it hard to breathe. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat, every sound a potential danger, that they were being watched, hunted. The feeling was inescapable, a constant presence that loomed over them like a dark cloud. They could feel eyes on them, watching their every move, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The mansion was more than just a building. It was a living, breathing entity, and it had no intention of letting them leave unscathed. The basement door was heavy, as if trying to keep something in or out. The air was frigid down there, damp and smelling of mildew. Cobwebs hung thick like ghostly curtains. The darkness felt alive, pressing in on them, smothering.
Shuddering. I can't shake this feeling. Maybe we made a mistake coming here.
Even Mia felt a shiver of fear. She couldn't shake the feeling that they had made a mistake coming here. They gathered in the center of the basement around an old Ouija board. The air crackled with anticipation and fear.
Is anyone here with us?
The planchette moved slowly at first, then faster. It spelled out a word.
Blackwood. Narrator. Tommy gasped. Lisa leaned closer, her camera recording everything. The planchette moved again, this time spelling out a name. S4. Murder.
A cold wind swept through the basement, extinguishing the candles and plunging them into darkness. A shape began to form at the edge of their circle, tall and skeletal, its eyes glowed red in the darkness. A low growl echoed through the room. Emily scrambled back. Jake pulled her close, his own fear forgotten. Mia stumbled, falling to the ground. Lisa's camera clattered to the floor. The screen went dark. S1... Ah! Panic seized them. They scrambled to their feet, running blindly in the darkness, tripping over debris. The growl was right behind them, closer now. They could feel its icy breath on their necks. The basement door loomed ahead, a beacon of hope.
Come on, hurry.
They stumbled out into the relative safety of the hallway. They slammed the door shut, leaning against it, gasping for breath. But the relief was short-lived. A cold laugh echoed from behind the door, followed by a sound that chilled them to the bone. The distinct click of the deadbolt locking into place. They were trapped, with whatever awaited them on the other side.